Hey y'all, it's Andy here, and I have decided to make the spring zodiac shift readings entirely free this season. I don't want there to be any paywall between us when the astrology is so wild this spring. So the shift readings for all zodiac signs for the spring season will be posted in their entirety here on YouTube and on my website, unseenhintstarot.com. You can access them either place. Now, these readings are meant to carry you through the entire spring season. So it's one reading for the whole spring. It drops at the spring equinox. I recommend watching it at the beginning of the season so you can kind of get an idea of the themes that might be showing up for your sun, moon, rising, perfection sign, Venus, maybe, since Venus is going retrograde, whatever you're tracking in your own astrology chart this season. Find the corresponding reading, watch it at the beginning of the season to get a little preview as to what your spring shift might be. And then midway through the season, maybe around April, check back in with the reading, rewatch it, because you'll be able to bring your lived experience of the actual spring, however it's playing out in your life, to that reading, and I guarantee it's going to hit different. And then at the end of the season, you'll look back and watch the readings one more time to connect the dots as to how you have actually shifted throughout the season and get that beautiful hindsight magic. It really is the best part. Okay. So happy spring. It is my gift to you, and enjoy the shifts. Hey Aquarius, this is your spring 2025 shapeshift reading where we look at the shape you're shifting out of, the shape you're shifting into, and what that shapeshift looks and feels like for the spring season. I've got the Queer Tarot here. We're also going to use the Slow Holler to clarify, and I've got the Poesis Oracle as well for your advice. So let's get into it for Aquarius. What is the shape you're shifting out of? The shape Aquarius is shifting out of the spring. Okay, interesting. The sun in reverse. Maybe just like having a really hard time finding the positive side of things, having a really hard time like accessing just like exuberance and joy. And the sun is our source of vitality and aliveness. And especially here, we've got this like kid on a unicorn, just giving us this like joyful innocence. And being in reverse, it could just be that this has not been a feeling, this feeling has not been accessible to you for the winter season or beyond. Shifting out of not accessing the sun, like maybe literally, depending on where you are in the world, not getting enough sunlight. Okay. Shifting into, what is the shape Aquarius is shifting into? That lack of vitamin D, oh really, it does things. Okay. Whoa, shifting into the Tower? Okay, sure. Okay. What does that shapeshift look and feel like? Judgment. All right. So I guess something's got to give here, Aquarius, is the Tower vibe. So let's take a look. Okay, so things have maybe just, there's been this general sense of unhappiness in some area of your life. Like something just hasn't been working. Maybe it's love, romance, maybe it's a workplace situation. There's just like something that hasn't had the joy maybe that it once had. And so there's got to be some sort of change that happens to that situation, because you can't necessarily sustain unhappiness or sustain a state that lacks joy. And so we have the Judgment, which is sort of this moment of truth. It's this moment of things needing to come out in the open and things need to be revealed. You know, we get this like trumpeter coming in on the clouds with a big announcement, and then people are sort of popping out of coffins, being like raised from the dead. It is this biblical image of Judgment Day. Judgment Day as a reckoning, but it's also supposed to be this thing that like ultimately saves you, or ultimately like takes you to a better place out of the state of death, which could just be showing us like the winter dormancy, or the state of just generalized unhappiness, or the state of not being able to access happiness. It seems like you're getting sort of kicked out of that depression, or kicked out of that melancholy, or lacking, this state of lacking in energy. And it's coming quite maybe dramatically or quickly with the Tower energy. It's this catalyst that comes in and says like, time to wake up. And sometimes the lightning has to strike the Tower to shake us out of our state of some sort of like stasis state of being that has been keeping you and someone else in a relationship or in a workplace from accessing the joy that you've once shared. And so the Tower comes, it brings a shakeup to your world. It brings some sort of like unexpected change, which is that eclipse season signification. Chris Brennan of the Astrology Podcasts talks about eclipses as unexpected beginnings and unexpected endings, and that's what this season really brings. And so something's sort of like striking the structure of your life, or some sort of structure of your life, in an unexpected way that is creating maybe like a little bit of chaos or some sort of change. And that obviously looks very uncomfortable. We see this like stone tower that's supposed to stand the test of time suddenly being struck by lightning. Everything's on fire. The people are escaping from that situation. But somehow that is what is needed to sort of awaken. It's kind of interesting because in the slow Holler tarot, the two cards that correlate with these two cards are the awakening and the storm. And they are coming out in the clarifiers for so many signs. So it does give us this, it's on the bottom of the deck. Jesus, that's the Judgment card in this deck. Whoa. Okay, wicked. It's been speaking to me of like this sort of collective Tower moment, collective awakening, collective upset to the structures that we have relied on. And it's creating this huge like trumpet sounds moment of reckoning, moment of awakening. That is, so this could be talking about something more collective, more like social, political, happening outside of you, but obviously affecting you very personally. Or it could be talking more of like a micro situation in your life, relationship, work, something like that. So let's get into the clarifying cards now. But Aquarius, if it is, especially like with Pluto moving into your sign, there is this very collective end of an era, beginning of a new era focus to your energy that could really indicate, especially given the other readings and the other cards coming out, that maybe part of the source of the unhappiness or the inability to access your usual joy and your usual happiness is because of the larger destructive maybe changes that are happening to the world that you live in, and this like collective reckoning moment that you are living through that doesn't really feel good. It's not the 80s anymore. It's not but interesting. Okay, so interesting that we're talking about the 80s, because in America that was an era that occurred after collapse that actually led to like these cards really evoke the 80s for me, this very like colorful time where people were just sort of like, fuck it, like I'm gonna wear bright pink, bright purple, electric neon, like we're gonna go to the gym and get pumped and, you know, do a lot of drugs. I'm not necessarily recommending that, but you know what I mean? Like there was this sort of fuck it vibe that I wonder if that's part of the major like shakeup that is happening to kind of help you access this sense of happiness and joy again. Okay, let's start to clarify here, Aquarius, with the slow Holler tarot. So show me a bit about the sun in reverse as the shape that Aquarius is shifting out of. Why has it been so hard to access the sun for Aquarius? Talk about it with 2 5s, because things are so chaotic. Things are so unpredictable. 5s are difficult. They are difficult periods of change where nothing is really set in stone or stable. Things start to sort of like, nothing's really clicking into place with the 5s. And here we have the 5 of Wands and the 5 of Pentacles. The 5 of Wands has been coming out too in this collective energy of like collective unrest and chaos. This particular 5 of Branches is a cool one for me because I always see the gut microbiome. It just looks to me like this microscopic view of the chemicals that are happening internally and like the chemical reactions that are happening inside the body that are creating these imbalances. So I think it's indicating that part of this is like literally not enough vitamin D. Maybe like literally, maybe you live in a winter area like I do and you just don't get the sunlight. So it could just be sort of saying like, hey, your body's going through a little bit of internal chemical chaos. It's okay. Give it a minute, you know, or maybe it's like it is some sort of digestive imbalance that you've been experiencing or hormonal, whatever this is, it's just showing internal chaos. Okay, and I just saw like internal being like internal government systems or even like internal affairs like with the workplace and stuff like that. So it could just be showing that like things that in the environment in which you're like working or in the environment in your relationship, like something is imbalanced internally. There's an internal sort of chaotic upset that's happening that's just leaving you just constantly nauseated or sort of just like constantly not feeling like yourself inside. Okay, interesting. Maybe you're like adjusting some meds or something. And then we have the 5 of Stones, which is this like material, you know, it's this, we're getting a lot of free fall. We're getting a lot of like what was once stable is now sort of busted. The geodes that were once whole are now busted into pieces. And of course, when you bust up a geode, you actually see the hidden beauty that was inside of it. But until you land, that process is really, it's more about the busting up of something that was once solid. And that feeling of free fall is so unnerving and scary. And so like, yeah, Aquarius, it makes perfect sense that you're unable to access your usual happy, joyful nature when like literal structural collapse is happening in a larger scale in your world, in your country, globally, but also environmentally. God. Stressful. And so emotional. God. So disappointing. That's what the sun in reverse is, just like disappointment. Wow, so disappointing. But also in your personal world, something so disappointing. Something I thought was solid is bringing drama or bringing chaos. This is so disappointing. Okay, interesting. Tell me more about the sun. Is there anything else to say about the sun in reverse? Yeah, exactly. The storm, and it landed right on the tower. I mean, cards just speak so clearly. It's really cool. So this is the card that is the equivalent of the tower. And it's been coming out for everyone because this is the collective energy of the spring, is us just living through this storm. And when you are living through a storm like this, it is very difficult to just toxic positivity your way through it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just really difficult to remain optimistic and sort of like happy-go-lucky. We can get through this together. Like, that's not the vibe for you, Aquarius. You are ruled by Saturn in traditional astrology. You are much less inclined to just sort of blindly, optimistically, like I just saw someone staring at the sun, directly at the sun, and then just being like, you know, like, you're not a doo-doo like that. You're not just like blind to the intense realities that are all around you. You see it really clearly, and it is difficult to maintain a sense of everything is what's that Lego? Everything is awesome, you know, like everything is not awesome. And you're not here to sugarcoat that for yourself and for the people around you, and like just in your day-to-day life, it is not something you can bypass. And we love that about you, Aquarius, because you're such a forward thinker in so many ways. But you're also a realist, and in order to like imagine a different future, you have to get very real about where you currently are. And where you currently are, there is not much to be happy and excited about. It's a lot of chaos, and nothing is stable, and everything is in transition, and it looks like it's sort of like free falling towards a crash, and it doesn't feel good. So yeah, you don't feel good, and that's okay. And so much of that is what is happening in the greater collective world around you that is impacting you internally. Okay? Okay. So let's look at the Judgment and the Tower, this sort of like event feeling. Unexpected beginning or ending, or both all at once, that just sort of like creates an awakening, creates a reckoning. Yep, we're just getting the same. Can I do a different reading? You know what I mean? Like, I understand there's just really, really big collective things that are happening this spring that are going to impact us all universally. So I understand that they're just showing up in everybody's reading. But like, damn, give me something different. Okay, intersection. This is the Justice card in this deck, and it has been coming out for everyone. So again, like, this part of the awakening is the recognition that this whole system, shown here as a mobile, is like delicately hinging on this one string held by this like one person. And if something upsets that balance, everything else connected with that is affected. And that's like intersection. The realization that you are connected to everything else that's going on around you, and that you can't necessarily like hide from it. Strength card, someone like hiding, trying to just hunker down in this like cave space, or trying to sort of like retreat from it all and just like get through it. It's sort of like, listen, when the trumpets sound, when these things happen, like, everyone is gonna have to come up out of those caves. Everyone is gonna have to come up out of their personal space where they were just trying to get through this, understandably. But this is a call to action. And it comes through the realization that we are not separate. The things that happen on these larger levels have this insane trickle-down effect almost immediately with the spring, which makes sense, like given the current situation that we are in the US and how quickly things are moving. It makes sense that the trickle down is much less of a trickle and more of a domino effect, where like the results of this happen quite quickly and are felt on the personal individual level, maybe like faster than anticipated. Interesting. Yeah, like I'm like knocking the cards. Oh, interesting. And the Page of Cups is under that with that heartbeat, like trying to keep your emotions separate from this. But like, dear Aquarius, Page of Cups is that beautiful like heart space. It is our feeling space. It is like the heart is getting the message. And that's part of the awakening of like the trumpet sounding and this like sense of like, and then that call to action is like felt in the hearts of the people is what this feels like. This feels so intense. Okay, talk to me about the Tower for Aquarius. The shape Aquarius is shifting into the Tower. Death. Yeah, major change. Whoa. Maybe it's leaning more towards the unexpected ending thing. Irreversible change. Something like suddenly ends or comes to an end in a really big way, and this is life-changing stuff. This is like, you know, navigating death energy is, of course, it's a natural state of things reaching their end point. But it's in this particular reading, things are reaching their end point in a really dramatic way. And man, that is tugging on your heart. Look at the choppy seas in the background with the storm energy. Like things are really kicking up this spring, and it's going to affect us collectively. It's going to affect us individually. This is drama. This is incredibly dramatic times that we're living through, and it's impacting you really personally, Aquarius. And like, again, this could just be talking, not just, but this could be talking about, or like a parallel thing is happening in your workplace, you know, or like a parallel thing is happening in your relationships where like, there are like people or like agents of change that are coming in and deciding to sort of like disrupt the status quo in a way that is proving to be quite destructive, and it's like affecting you really personally, because of course, like you are connected to the larger whole, and what other people do, like their actions affect you. Intersection, you are connected, inextricably connected, and so of course that's gonna affect your heart. Of course you're gonna have feelings about that. And maybe you are sort of feeling this pull in your heart to bring something to an end, to say, hey, this isn't working. Something needs to change. Okay, Aquarius, the Tower. Show me more about the Tower and death as the shape Aquarius is shifting into. Visionary of Stones, interesting. It's like you want to change. You want something to change in the name of stability. Like you want to get back to something stable, because this is so interesting how we're seeing so much instability with the Tower, but then the Queen of Pentacles shows us actually like landing on your feet, like landing in like these other stone structures. Interesting. Stone tower. And then she's literally wearing stone towers on her feet. What is that? Capricorn and Sagittarius glyphs are here. Queen of Pentacles. Okay, maybe it's also just saying that like the stone structures, these structures that you thought were really, really solid, that you've been standing on for some time, are not able to support you any longer. And so that's part of this like death thing. Like this is actually not supporting me. The realization that it's not supporting you. Okay. And that you want something that truly does support you. Show me more about the Tower and death as the shape Aquarius is shifting into. Maybe it's time to go, yeah, off on your own 2 feet. Standing on your own 2 feet. So we have the Queen of Pentacles and now the King. The Visionary of Stones and the Architect of Stones. What are you building and how are you building it? And what have you been building? Like maybe this is a big like moment, again, of like something is really shaking up. This thing that you've been building for some time, or that you've like really committed to the vision and the architect, like the plans to begin to build it. But something is massively interrupting that structure, the structure that you've been building. And often when this happens with the Tower, it's because the foundation it was built on was not strong, was not actually strong, or as strong as it could be. So there's this, when the lightning strikes or when the storm hits, it reveals those structural weaknesses, maybe at the foundational level, that are causing you to kind of go back to the drawing board with your plans and say, okay, hold on. Like, we need to repair this at a foundational level, or death card, maybe we need to scrap it and totally start over. Because this person is like on a ladder on a bare planet, like reaching up to grab a comet from the sky to begin the build. Okay. Visionary and architect, like back to the drawing board. Back to the drawing board. Having to redraft new plans, to make a new plan. Or even to make a plan for something to come to an end. Someone could be like helping get like end of life plans in order for someone. Okay, that's specific and unique to y'all. Okay, this is intense. This is an intense reading. We need some advice for Aquarius from the Poesis Oracle. Advice for Aquarius this spring as they navigate this major change and maybe unexpected ending, or maybe expected, you know, because death, it can come swiftly, but sometimes when it comes, it's been coming for some time. Okay, interesting. Collective wisdom, personal wisdom, and collective magic is what I'm getting from these cards. Adding your personal wisdom to the collective endeavors, and this card says magic, the things that groups of people are trying to pull off. Interesting. Adding your individual Saturnian sage-like future thinking wisdom, Aquarius, that you have. It's like you've seen the future, and there's something, again, like collectively or in a group of people that you're trying to sort of share your wisdom with them. Okay, one more piece of advice. And there's a lot of magic that people can do. Yeah, this Earth card keeps wanting to come out. Sort of, again, just showing us like the structure is busting. All right. Yeah. We'll definitely take surrender to the wave, because there's the lightning from the tower again, and I do want to pull you one more. Surrender to the ending, Aquarius. Surrender to the experience. One more piece of advice for Aquarius. Okay, expand. So expansion is here. And here's that intersection energy showing up again. This like sense of interconnectedness, everything being interconnected. All right, let's look at it together. Okay, so whoa. This is so much. It is, this, I do not think, listen, there will be surprises inevitably this spring with eclipse season and all these retrogrades. But I want to say, Aquarius, in your infinite wisdom and in your incredible ability to think forward into the future, that a lot of the change and the endings that are coming are not entirely unexpected. These are things that you have likely foreseen. I get that vibe that you have foreseen this in some way. And because you kind of see it coming, because you've been living through the storm of it for some time and like the collapse of it for long enough that it is starting to affect you internally. It's those like nasty attacking energies in the Five of Branches are starting to reach you on a cellular level, on an internal level, that's just making you like really unsettled inside, sick in your stomach, maybe even just feeling how the shit storms that you're living through outside of you are affecting your health. They're affecting you internally. And so, and there's something in the wisdom card that is on its knees pleading with the collective, or pleading with a group of people. Hey, this is going downhill. Hey, this is not working. Hey, you have to please listen to me. Like maybe you are actually the trumpeter in the Judgment card that is sounding the collective alarm and saying, listen to me. You could be the one that's trying to enact justice here, because you seem to be the one holding the wisdom of the larger picture. You can see the collapse that is happening. And you're trying to warn them, you're trying to help them. And then okay, I'm seeing something with the magic card that doesn't have to do with magic, but it's very specific, where this small group of people, for some of you, if this is like a group situation at work or a group that you're involved with, there's this really internal focus that is causing them to miss the bigger picture of collapse that's going on, or like the bigger picture of change. Because even though this looks like a moon in the background of the magic card, I'm seeing it actually as the same sphere in the Earth card that is sort of like busting up, and the waves are starting to wobble. because again, the structure is collapsing. But here they are, like not even looking at that thing that's coming, that is like looming in the larger background. They're just focusing on this like little orb that's between them. And I get it, because when huge moments of change are looming like this, they're too big for the human psyche to handle. And so sometimes everyone like hyper focuses on this like more specific situation, instead of like really seeing that this specific situation is a symptom of a much larger structural shift or ending that is trying to happen. And then we have it in the Tower and the Earth, like the center is not holding, and the debris is flying everywhere, and everything's just sort of like, whoa, this could be you exiting a situation because in like a dramatic way, or because of a very dramatic catalyst. This could be just like realizing that at the base of this, it's not going to hold. And if it's going to keep going, it would have to be scrapped and rebuilt from scratch. Again, like back to square one, back to the drawing board with that. But that, if that's the case, that is not part of this reading. This reading is focusing on the collapse, the ending. Although we do have expand here. I think like surrendering to the experience is obviously just, that's all you can do really this spring. That's mostly all you can do. You've tried to warn them. You are probably trying to like voice your concerns with whatever this is on a like a collective level or a personal situation in your life. But ultimately you're gonna have to surrender to the storm, the wave, and let the tidal wave wash over. Now we're getting Aries, Pisces energy. Letting the tidal wave wash over and see where you end up in the aftermath of it. And then expand is here. So there's this possibility to be able to start to expand from there, and to expand the way you've been thinking, and expand your world, and expand your life maybe. Because after death, something opens up. And I think that is part of what we're seeing here, kind of foreshadowing again, because you're showing up as such a future seer. So the cards are honoring that and like letting you see even further, is that like, hey, once this thing comes to an end in your life, in your experience, there is an expansion on the other side of that for you. There will be more room for you to become even larger, to expand your reach, to have more impact, to something, to have more of an effect. Because I do see this wisdom card as like someone just sort of feels like they're talking to a brick wall, like nobody's listening. Because I just see that this like group of people isn't listening. They're not listening. And so they're going to have to go through this, and so are you. And damn, you know. Okay. Wow. Whoa. What a reading, Aquarius. This is so intense. And it's so much bigger than you. I hope you know that. I hope you take away from this one thing. Don't get down on yourself if you're not feeling super good, sun reverse. Like, for God's sake, Aquarius, there are major things that you've never lived through before that are happening in your world and in the world around you, but also in your personal experiences right now. So just, this is bigger than you. There's only going to be so much that you can affect here, and the bigger advice is to surrender, to say what needs to be said, to share your wisdom as it comes up, and to recognize the effect that the collapse of a larger structure is having on you, to go ahead and feel what you need to feel with that. but to probably realize that you can't totally hide from this, and you're gonna have to go through it and live through it to some extent. And then we're getting a preview in the cards that could be a rebuild on the other side of it. Not necessarily of the same thing, but like building a new structure in your life, or, you know, something like that. But for now, it's like the best thing you can do is extract yourself from this drama and kind of let it collapse, because like Aquarius, you're not going to go down with this ship, right? You don't need to do that. Not when you've foreseen the collapse. You already know. You know, so like get out of there. Okay. All right, I think you get it, Aquarius. I hope this is helpful and gives you some anchor to move through this spring storm energy. If you want to get with me for a personal reading to see how this is actually like specifically showing up in your life, you know where to find me. Otherwise, let me know how this is resonating for you throughout the season. And as you watch it at the spring equinox, watch it again like a month later and see how this is actually playing out with your lived experience. And then of course, watching it again at the very, very end of the season can really help you string it all together and get that hindsight magic experience. So I encourage you, don't skip it, especially since the readings are open to the public this season. All right, Aquarius, oh honey, take such good care. I'll be thinking of you and living through it with you. And yeah, we'll talk soon.